There's a problem with a lot of filmmaking advice. Someone is presenting you with a recipe or a shortcut to achieving a particular look or a particular style. They tell you, you have got to try this lighting setup, or shoot like this, film director, or 5 tips for better B-roll. And then it's always just the same 3-light setup, the same haze, the same editing style, the same formula. It's stuff we've seen a million times already. Following these tutorials blindly aren't going to get you anywhere if you want to be original, express your own voice, or even find real, meaningful work. Basically, it's like studying filmmaking the way that someone might study swimming by reading about water. At some point, you have to get in.
So, how do you like my swimming?
There's a particular kind of filmmaker. They know every camera spec and can explain the rendering difference between Arri Log C3 and Log C4. They've watched every gear channel ever made twice, and their films are fine. Just fine. You see, the industry has no shortage of technically competent people. In fact, we're probably producing them at an industrial scale. But what's genuinely rare, like embarrassingly rare, is someone with a point of view. And here's what no one in the tutorial industry will tell you, because it doesn't get clicks on affiliate links and it doesn't move courses. Every hour that you spend watching someone else make films is an hour you spend not finding out what your own creative voice sounds like. There's a comment that's been living in my head for weeks left under a 21-second clip of Roger Deakins, arguably one of the greatest living cinematographers today, talking about his process. Someone wrote, "What's crazy is that he's famous for having gorgeous cinematography and yet still understands this truth. So not only is he not trying to make a shot beautiful, but he's trying to get the best shot for the film and story, and it's still more pretty than 90% of films." The most technically accomplished cinematographer alive, and his entire orientation is away from technique, toward story, toward truth. We'll come back to that. Okay, so let's get the gear conversation out of the way, because it always seems to come first and it always comes wrong. This is especially relevant right now with the release this year of the FX5, and everyone simultaneously either loving it or hating on it for falling behind the likes of Lumix and Canon and other camera brands. So the truth is that no matter how many months that you save for a camera, you're completely certain will fix your work. It's barely going to move the needle on the actual underlying quality of what you produce. All it's actually going to change is the resolution of your bad ideas. 8K bad ideas instead of 4K ones. I know, because I've been there. The lie that the gear industry depends on is that your skill gap is actually a kit gap. The only thing standing between you and the work that you want to make is the camera someone else is selling you in a sponsored video. That higher frame rates and an open gate sensor is going to fix all of your problems, but it isn't. It's never the camera. And if you don't believe me, here's the part that should reframe everything. I know multiple working filmmakers who regularly get asked by clients, paying clients, to make their projects look less professional, to either shoot it on a phone or to make it look like it was shot in one, to strip the color grade back, to remove the lighting setup, because the market has shifted. Authenticity often reads as more credible than polish. So what does that mean for you and your gear obsession? Well, realistically, it means that constraint isn't actually a compromise. It's a force to try and make you work harder in the places that actually matter. So look at gear limitations as a tool that make you ask the question, why am I pointing a camera at this? That one question is the one that tutorials skip entirely, because if you can tell a story with nothing, you can create something worth watching with anything. This is the only metric that matters in your first few years as a filmmaker. Did you finish it? Not is it good, not did anyone watch it, not does it look like what you imagined. Did you finish it? The romanticization of the big debut project kills more filmmakers than any bad tutorial ever could. Someone spends 8 months planning an ambitious short, the logistics collapse, the money runs out, the whole thing ends up on a hard drive, half edited, and is a monument to ambition that outran experience. I've seen it, I've been adjacent to it, I've done it. Oh, but Sam, what about obsession in the backrooms, I hear you say? Well, here's the thing. Filmmakers like Curry Barker and Kane Parsons are the exception rather than the rule. And even at that, they didn't become overnight success stories for no reason. They both have a history of putting in the effort and developing and curating their own distinctive visual language. But what does that mean for you? Well, first of all, make a 1-minute film, then make a 5-minute film, and continue making films that you can actually complete. Because your first 5 films are going to be bad. That's not a caveat, it's the truth. And if anything, it's the point. They're supposed to be bad. The point of your first 5 films is to make the 6th one better. Every finished project, however flawed, builds creative momentum. Unfinished ones build nothing. They just add weight and drag you down. Right now, there is a look all over your social media feeds. You know the one. It's hazy, it's warm, there's too much force halation, softbox golden hour glow that makes everything feel exactly the same as everyone else. And that's what happens when you blindly follow tutorial aesthetics. It's technically lovely, and sure, it can look great, but at the end of the day, it means nothing if it wasn't in your voice. When you learn lighting and editing from people who all learned to light and edit from the same 5 channels, who all learned from the same 3 channels before that, you don't learn lighting and editing. You lose the ability to see with your own eyes and instead learn to imitate someone else's style. Which brings us back to Deakins. His quote, "The one that inspired me to make this whole video is this: don't confuse pretty shots with good cinematography." And what he's describing is exactly the issue at the center of this video. The more that you optimize for beauty, for the look, the preset, the 3 light setup, the haze, the less beautiful your work becomes. Because you've stopped asking what the story needs and started asking what looks impressive in a showreel. Deakins does the complete opposite. He asks what the story demands, and he puts all of his technique completely in service of that question. And the result is films like No Country for Old Men and Skyfall, Blade Runner 2049, The Shawshank Redemption. It's all work that doesn't look like it's trying. The tutorial machine teaches you how to make things look good. Deakins is telling you that that's the wrong question entirely.
Freddie Francis says there was good cinematography and bad cinematography, and then there's the cinematography that's right for the movie. And I often feel that if reviewers don't mention your work, it's probably better than if they do.
Your influences belong in your DNA, not shot for shot, grade for grade on your timeline. So how do we beat this? Well, if you're like me, then you know it's always so tempting to hop onto YouTube and just watch more tutorials. I always want to see what other people are making, and more importantly, how they made it. Well, the answer is this: it's cross-contamination of influences. That's how a personal visual language actually forms. It's not by studying your own genre and copying what other people are telling you is correct, but by bringing in everything outside of your genre into what you're doing. Go to a gallery, read something that has nothing to do with film, listen to music that you don't immediately enjoy. You're not going to find your voice in a preset pack. It's in the gap between everything you've absorbed and what you choose to do with it. In fact, sometimes the most productive thing that you can do for your film is nothing. Walk away from the noise, the endless content mills, and the race for everyone's attention. Deprive yourself of constant, easy, quick hits of dopamine and allow yourself to be present and, more importantly, bored. Like, really bored. Because when you're bored, when you're quiet, that's where the non-obvious connections happen, where the ideas that don't look like anyone else's come from. Your best ideas won't come to you whenever you're grinding or watching your 17th filmmaking tutorial in a row. So get outside, take a walk, and don't open up a single app, and let your mind go somewhere it hasn't been told to go, because that's where your actual creative voice lives. Not in another tutorial, in the quiet. Now, I'm not telling you to stop learning. I'm asking you to notice the moment that learning becomes a substitute for creating. When the tutorial becomes the more comfortable option, when watching someone else's process is easier than confronting your own. Deakins isn't trying to make a beautiful shot. He's asking what the story needs, and it ends up more beautiful than 90% of what gets made. That's not a coincidence. What are you trying to say? Not your favourite filmmaker, not whoever had the best optimised thumbnail this week. You. What have you actually got to say? That's the question that never appears in a tutorial. And it's the only one that actually matters.